Now or never, she whispered to herself, staring into the smudged mirror inside the supply closet of a grocery store. Her reflection was tired, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back with a frayed elastic, and a name tag that no one ever really looked at. Amanda. 27, high school dropout. Cleaner, shelf stocker, cashier, whatever they needed. No college degree. No family inheritance. No LinkedIn-worthy mentors. Just herself, a pile of unpaid bills, and an old spiral notebook in her backpack filled with ideas that made her heart race. 2 nights earlier, she had come home to find an eviction notice on her apartment door. Her last paycheck had gone toward her mom's medical bills. Again. She'd slept on the floor, notebook clutched to her chest like a lifeline, knowing this moment had to come. It wasn't just a dream she had written in that notebook, it was a system. She had mapped out something real, something tested, something that had worked when she tried it on the side for free. Her idea had helped 6 clients already, none of whom knew she worked nights scrubbing floors in silence. But what if she failed? What if she quit the job that paid just enough to keep her poor, and her idea flopped like every failed side hustle she had tried before? What if she ended up worse off? But a stronger voice, quiet but insistent, whispered, "What if it works?" Amanda had grown up hearing that success was for other people. Kids with parents who could pay for tutors, internships, a college dorm. But the notebook in her bag didn't care about privilege, it only responded to effort. Today she'd clock out at 4 p.m. instead of 6. She had already rehearsed what she'd say when her manager raised his eyebrow, family emergency. Not a lie. Her future was an emergency. As the automatic door hissed open and she stepped into the aisle lined with cereal boxes, her palms were sweating. Her plan wasn't perfect. She still had no website, no startup capital, no safety net. But she had a bus ticket to downtown, a borrowed blazer from a friend, and a list of 10 local businesses she'd researched to pitch her idea to. One of them would say yes. They had to. She didn't realize it then, but this was the moment her life began to crack open. It wasn't the pitch meetings that would define her, it was what she was willing to endure between them. Amanda stepped off the bus, clutching her notebook like a shield. Downtown smelled like ambition, espresso, car exhaust, and tension. Glass buildings scraped the clouds. Everyone seemed to be walking faster than her, dressed sharper, moving with purpose. She swallowed hard and walked into the first building on her list. A print shop. Family-owned. She'd researched them. They'd recently posted about declining foot traffic. Her service could help. She waited for the owner to finish a call, introduced herself, and pitched. Her voice trembled on the first sentence but steadied by the third. The man blinked. "You do what now?" "I help small businesses grow their customer base using tailored, low-cost online strategies. Local SEO, optimized listings, client engagement, that sort of thing. I've done it for free for a few others just starting. I think I can help you." He glanced at her clothes. Then at the notebook. "Thanks, but we're not interested." She nodded, forced a smile, thanked him for his time, and stepped back out into the heat. 1 down. 9 to go. The second one didn't even let her finish. The third said maybe, and then ghosted her. The fourth laughed. The fifth was polite but unconvinced. The sixth listened. For 5 whole minutes. "Leave me a flyer," the woman said. Amanda had no flyer. Just the notebook. She tore out a handwritten page. "This is all I have." The woman tilted her head, then nodded. "I like that you showed up in person. Let's talk next week." It wasn't a yes. But it wasn't a no. By 6 p.m., her feet ached. She had 3 maybes, 5 flat-out no's, 1 awkward silence, and 1 person who said, you should probably get a real job. She sat on a bench and let herself feel the weight of the day. Every rejection dug into old wounds, memories of being the kid who never fit in, of teachers who said, "You're bright but undisciplined," of her father's disappointed silence when she dropped out. But as she flipped through her notebook and saw her plans, the testimonials, the metrics from past clients, the neat diagrams, she didn't feel like a fraud. She felt like a match waiting for a spark. She worked her night shift in silence. Stocking shelves. Facing products. Wiping spills. At 2 a.m. she took a 15-minute break and used the employee computer to design a one-page flyer. She borrowed a coworker's flash drive and saved it. By dawn, she printed 20 copies at the cheapest copy shop downtown, using money meant for her bus fare. She walked again. Door to door. Again. This time with a flyer. She didn't know it then, but one of those flyers would end up in the hands of a man who owned 3 bakeries, who had just fired his marketing guy, who was tired of overpriced experts that didn't understand his community. That one flyer would be the hinge that swung the door open. But for now, Amanda just walked. Blisters forming. Rehearsing her pitch. Whispering it under her breath like a prayer. She had no idea what she was walking toward, only that she refused to walk back. The call came at 10:13 a.m. Amanda was asleep, curled on her mattress on the floor, her phone wrapped in a sock beside her to muffle the vibration from her roommate's baby who always woke up crying. "Hi, is this Amanda?" She jolted upright, heart pounding. "Yes, speaking. This is Tony from Sun Valley Bakery. I got your flyer from my sister. She runs that pet shop on 12th Street. You helped her get 200 followers in a week?" Amanda blinked, trying to catch up. That was client number 4, the one she had helped for 3 months ago. "Yes," she said, suddenly wide awake. "That was me." Tony cleared his throat. "You got a minute to come in today?" By 1 p.m., Amanda was sitting across from a man with flour on his sleeves, a phone full of customer complaints, and a calendar of missed promotions. He was overwhelmed and frustrated, exactly the kind of person she wanted to help. She didn't pitch. She asked questions. What mattered to him? What wasn't working? Why had he fired his last marketing guy? An hour later, he said, "Okay, kid. You've got a month. If you can get people through my doors, we'll talk about something long-term. Deal?" Amanda tried to keep her voice calm, professional. "Deal." But inside, she was screaming. She walked out of the bakery with a paper bag full of leftover muffins and her first paid client. It wasn't much, just a test month, just a maybe. But it was real. She had until the end of the month to prove herself. The next 3 days were a blur. Amanda worked every hour she wasn't at the supermarket or sleeping. She built a free website for the bakery using a trial version of a platform. She posted daily on local food groups. She replied to every comment, messaged community influencers, tagged nearby businesses, created a Customer of the Week wall, all from her second-hand phone and the public library's Wi-Fi. By the end of the first week, Tony called again. "What the hell did you do?" he asked. Amanda froze. "Did I mess something up?" "No. I mean, no. We're sold out of sourdough. On a Tuesday. That's never happened." She smiled so hard her cheeks hurt. "Keep going," he said. "Let's talk about next month." But success never arrives alone. That same week, her hours at the supermarket were cut. The store had hired 2 younger workers who could work weekends for less. Amanda begged for hours, but her manager shrugged. "It's just business," he said. She walked home in silence. Rent was still due. The bakery gig didn't cover everything yet. She had 1 client, no savings, and now, no stable income. She sat on the steps outside her building, counting coins. Then she opened her notebook and added a new page, backup plans. It had only one line: get 5 more clients before rent is due. There was no fallback plan. No family to call. No one waiting to catch her. So she picked up her bag, her flyers, and went back to knocking on doors. By week 3, Amanda was exhausted. She had managed to land a second client, a tiny hair salon run by a single mom who liked Amanda's flyer and said, "You remind me of me, 10 years ago." The pay was small, the hours unpredictable, but it was another chance. Amanda poured everything into it. Her days blurred together, mornings at the library scheduling posts and answering DMs for clients, afternoons knocking on doors with flyers, evenings at the bakery taking photos of cupcakes and customers, nights in the supply closet at the grocery store, her shifts cut, but not gone yet. She was surviving, just barely. But survival, she was learning, wasn't sustainable. One Tuesday afternoon, the public library shut down unexpectedly, a plumbing issue. No Wi-Fi. No access to the free design tools she used. Amanda sat on the library steps in the August sun, her battery at 11%, her client messages piling up, her anxiety a knot in her throat. She felt it then, the wall. That invisible, suffocating pressure. Like every second was borrowed time. Like the world was conspiring to remind her that she wasn't meant to make it. That people like her, tired, poor, unsupported, didn't get to build empires. She cried. Quietly. Behind her sunglasses. Not the kind of tears that came from a single bad day, but the kind that bubbled up from years of stretching too thin. Of trying to stay strong for everyone. Of always being, almost there. She thought about calling it off. Going back to full-time cleaning. Letting the bakery and the salon go. Apologizing, saying it was too much. But then her phone buzzed. It was a photo from Tony at the bakery, a customer holding a muffin and smiling, with the caption, "Amanda's idea is working. Thank you." She stared at it for a long time. And then she got up, walked across town to the community center, and politely asked the receptionist if there was any free Wi-Fi available to use. She was led to an old room with a sticky keyboard, a dusty monitor, and an internet connection that felt like dial-up. It wasn't perfect. But it was possible. Amanda worked until they kicked her out at closing. That night, while scrubbing a sticky mess off aisle 4, her old coworker Luis whispered, "You okay? You look like you're gonna drop." She nodded. "Just tired." "You still doing that business thing?" Amanda nodded again. Luis smirked. "I saw the bakery post. You're killing it." Those 3 words hit harder than he knew. You're killing it. Not trying, not surviving, not maybe next time. It was the first time someone other than her clients had said it like it was fact. She went home that night and wrote a new line in her notebook: "Tired is not a reason to quit. It's proof you're in motion." The wall was still there. But she wasn't backing down. The week rent was due. Amanda had $48 in her account. The bakery had agreed to extend her for a second month, with better pay this time, and the salon owner promised to send something your way soon. But nothing had arrived yet. Her landlord didn't want promises. He wanted payment. She stared at the red notice on her door like it was an enemy in a war she hadn't trained for. Amanda folded the paper, slipped it into her bag, and walked out the door with the notebook under her arm. Her hands were shaking. Her thoughts raced. She couldn't go back. She wouldn't. That day, she knocked on 12 doors. 9 ignored her. 2 said, "We'll call you." 1 said something worse: "I don't work with people who pitch things without a proper company behind them." That sentence stayed with her all the way home. She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she wrote out a company name on the first page of her notebook. Something simple. Something that made it sound like she was more than a one-woman army running on caffeine and stubbornness. Elevate local, she wrote it in bold, underlined it, and stared. It wasn't real. Yet. But it would be. The next morning, she returned to the community center and begged the front desk to let her print 5 sheets of a basic logo she had designed at midnight. She stapled it to her flyers and walked again. It worked. By the end of the week, she had landed 2 small cafes in the arts district. They couldn't pay much, but they gave her access, photos, and glowing testimonials. Things were looking up. And then, out of nowhere, her mother collapsed. Amanda got the call from a neighbor. Her mother had stopped responding to messages. The ambulance had come. It was serious. Amanda dropped everything. No laptop. No notebook. Just her bag and her heart in her throat. Her mother had always been fragile, the chronic illness slowly eating away at her strength. Amanda had tried to keep her afloat, paid her bills when she could, brought groceries, called weekly. But she hadn't been present like she used to be. Building a business had stolen hours she once gave freely. In the hospital, staring at the pale, unconscious woman who had once braided her hair and whispered dreams into her ears, Amanda felt something she hadn't felt in months: shame. She had been chasing freedom. Building something bigger. But for what, if the people she loved were suffering without her? She cried again. This time, with no sunglasses. No notebook. Just quiet sobs in a hallway that smelled like antiseptic and sadness. The doctor came out an hour later. Her mother would recover. Slowly. Carefully. Amanda exhaled. Her heart was cracked open, but still beating. That night, sitting beside her mother's hospital bed, Amanda opened her notebook and wrote one line. This has to matter, for both of us. She made a promise she would never forget. She wouldn't just build something for herself. She'd build something that would one day take care of others, too. Amanda didn't sleep for 2 days after her mother came home from the hospital. She moved back in temporarily, sleeping on the couch beside the small kitchen table, juggling her 2 clients, sending apology emails to the ones she'd ghosted in the chaos, and checking her mother's meds every 4 hours. Everything in her life was taped together, barely functional, but still standing. Then, one morning, an email came. Subject: Partnership Opportunity, Social Impact Campaign. Amanda squinted at the screen. It was from a woman named Grace, who ran a local nonprofit. Someone had forwarded her one of Amanda's client posts from the bakery page. The post featured a customer named Rosa, a single grandmother raising 2 kids, who came in every Thursday for a treat after her shift at the laundromat. Amanda had written the caption from her heart: "Everyone deserves something sweet after a long day. Here's to the quiet heroes we pass every day." That post had gone viral. Not internet viral, but community viral. Dozens of comments, hundreds of shares, local moms tagging each other, small businesses reposting it. And Grace had seen it. She wanted Amanda to run a 1-month digital campaign for a program that provided meals for underpaid workers. It wouldn't pay much, but the exposure? The credibility? Real. Amanda stared at the email for 10 minutes, then replied, fingers trembling, "Yes. I'd be honored." But just as the spark landed, the storm followed. A man from the building where Amanda used to live had taken her idea. He found her flyers, copied her language, even used her name in his ads, claiming to be inspired by her concept. At first, Amanda thought it was a mistake. But then she got a message from a business she had pitched weeks ago. "Didn't you already work with Mark from Local Vibe? He said you were part of his team." Amanda froze. He wasn't just stealing. He was positioning her as a ghost, a stepping stone. Her stomach dropped. For the first time since she started, Amanda felt something worse than fear: irrelevance. All her work, her voice, her heart, repackaged under someone else's name. She could scream, but who would hear her? She had no lawyers. No brand registry. No official company number. Just a notebook and a name she wrote in the dark. Amanda did what she always did, walked. She walked 5 blocks to the bakery, grabbed a muffin, and sat in the alley beside the dumpster. There, she opened her notebook, flipped past the ideas, the goals, the testimonials. And she wrote, "You can't steal what's still growing." She didn't fight Mark. Not yet. She didn't post a call-out or try to prove anything. She just kept going. And when she launched Grace's nonprofit campaign, one photo, one quote, one story at a time, the city noticed. Her inbox filled up. 3 more clients by the end of the month. 1 request for a workshop. 2 podcast interviews. And then, a message from someone she never expected. A local investor. Small time. But real. Been watching your work. Would love to talk about where this could go. Amanda didn't reply right away. She wasn't sure yet what she wanted. But one thing was clear. She wasn't invisible anymore. The investor's office wasn't in a high-rise tower or behind glass doors. It was a corner unit in a refurbished warehouse with exposed brick and a receptionist who offered her tea in a chipped mug. Amanda sat across from a woman named Tasha, mid-40s, sharp eyes, soft voice. Former startup founder turned micro-investor. She'd seen Amanda's work on 3 different business pages and followed her journey quietly for 2 months. "I like people who build," Tasha said. "Especially when no one gives them permission." Amanda stayed silent. She wasn't sure if she was supposed to thank her or brace herself. "You don't need a handout," Tasha continued. "You need a lever." Amanda frowned. "What kind of lever?" "Let's talk about a real company. A registered brand. A website that doesn't crash. A studio space. You're running a whole agency out of borrowed Wi-Fi and public computers. That's not hustle, that's infrastructure collapse." Amanda laughed, a dry, surprised laugh. No one had ever put it like that. "I'm not offering millions," Tasha said. "I'm offering a bet. On you. $5,000. No strings. Build what you're already building, but faster." Amanda stared. Her chest ached. Tasha pushed a simple contract across the table. "It's not charity. It's a match to the fire you already lit." Amanda didn't sign it that day. She took it home, read it 10 times, slept on it. And in the morning, she signed. With that money, she did what she'd always dreamed but never thought possible. Registered Elevate Local as a real business. Bought a used laptop. Built a professional website. Rented a tiny co-working space with a working lock. Hired Luis, her old supermarket co-worker, as her assistant. He cried. She didn't use the money to rest. She used it to rise. By month 2, she had 7 clients. By month 5, 11. She launched a program for teen girls interested in digital marketing, offering mentorship, because no one had ever done that for her. She spoke at her first event. She wore borrowed heels that blistered her feet, but she didn't care. She stood in front of 200 people and told her story, minus the mess. She still wasn't sure how to explain the bakery tears, the eviction, the notebooks. She just said, "I wasn't given a seat at the table, so I built my own." That line made its way online. It echoed. Loud. One morning, her inbox exploded. Articles. Interviews. A message from a major brand: "We'd like to feature you in our upcoming campaign on self-made founders." Amanda stared at the screen. The girl who once wiped floors now being celebrated as a founder. But she didn't feel like a founder yet. Not really. There was still one piece missing. The room was smaller than she remembered. Same cracked mirror. Same flickering light in the corner. Same supply closet smell, cleaning chemicals and cardboard. Amanda stood alone in the back of the supermarket where she once whispered, "Now or never," to her reflection. It had been almost 2 years. She hadn't come to reminisce. She came because the new store manager had invited her. One of her interns now worked here part-time, and when the company found out she used to clean floors in this very branch, they asked if she'd speak to their staff as part of a motivation series. The irony made her smile. She walked through the aisles where she once cried in silence. Past the shelves she used to stock while repeating affirmations in her head. Into the room where her life had quietly started again. She stood before a small group of tired employees, some young, some older, all with eyes that said, "We've heard the speeches before." But Amanda didn't give a speech. She just held up the notebook. "I wrote this in the break room," she said. "When I thought I had nothing left." A pause. "I didn't have money. Or degrees. Or confidence. Just this. And one sentence I wrote on a bad day, tired is not a reason to quit." They listened. Really listened. She told them about the bakery. The flyers. The rejections. The hospital. The copycat. The notebook that held her together when everything else fell apart. And then she said something that caught her by surprise, even as the words left her mouth. "You don't need anyone to open a door for you. You are the door." There was silence. And then applause. Not polite, real. Outside, she lingered in the parking lot. Not ready to leave yet. Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother, "Proud of you." Another from Luis, client number 15 signed. "We did it." Amanda looked up at the sky. She wasn't rich yet. Not even close. She still budgeted carefully. Still worked weekends. Still answered client emails herself. Her business was real, but fragile. Like a flower pushing through a crack in the concrete. But she had changed. She no longer wondered if she was enough. She knew she was. And for the first time, standing in the very place where her story began, Amanda realized what she had truly built. Not just a company. Not just a name. But a way forward, for herself, and for anyone who'd ever been told they weren't meant to make it.